Hey there, I am JB, and for today I'm not just going to show you how to build the ultimate warehouse, but I'm also going to explain you why you should be doing it different based on 2+ years of experience with Ylands, and very important, by looking at many other players. What we are going to do for today will save you a ton of time for future changes and/or is very easy to expand. Now you might wonder, JB, if you have the ultimate warehouse solution, then why didn't you add it to the project down here? Well, that is basically because I forgot to do so. I have been doing this in season 1. Still, we learn every day of our mistakes. Now 99.99% of the players, when you start playing a game like this, you will start way too small. Maybe a couple of chests. Sooner or later you will discover you need more space. You might make a building, but you still need more space. You keep on moving stuff and moving and moving. And also there are a lot of people that build the storage area on the place where they like to build a lot of stuff. And then sooner or later start to notice that the frames per second are getting worse and worse. And then you're going to need to find a new island for new fresh projects. And then a lot of work will come on your way. You'll have to empty out all of your storage areas, build a whole new warehouse, and that is where the first tip for me comes. Build your warehouse on a different island and only build your warehouse there. Which basically means if you need to move to another island with your whole base and all your fun little projects, start something new, you don't have to bring your whole warehouse with you, which will save you so much trouble and headache because you're going to need to rebuild everything once again. Now I have been doing such a thing already in season 1, and in this warehouse I'm basically only stored like precious stuff. I don't really have a resource warehouse, but the one thing you can clearly see is that it's open. The reason being why it is open, if I need more space, I can just simply add another part of the warehouse and start filling in some stuff what I need. I don't have to rebuild it, I don't have to move stuff, I don't have to go to a different island. This saves me so much headache and work. And because I have not been building this onto a home base with the surrounding projects of many buildings, my frames per second are a nice 75 per second. Now of course this can be done way more simple, but this is if you want to spend a lot of time on it or not many time on it. For now, for me, this is fine. I don't need more at the moment. But the other warehouse is basically not for me. And a warehouse like this is something you want to build ASAP, because you can store all of your valuable items there, are only one-off or are very hard to get. Now for the people that are wondering, why don't I have my resources right down here? Why do I have my resources on a platform in the middle of the ocean? Well, that's because these are the donated resources for the spinning wheel, which will be held every Saturday 8 PM CET. And once people win some resources, I'm gonna go to that spot. They can choose whatever they like depending on what they have won. Then I'm putting it on board my ship and bring it towards to them. And like I've been saying, we all learn over time, and the one thing that I did do different with that warehouse is I've been building it onto the ocean near the spawn of the map, which basically means it saved me a lot of time sailing, for example, to an island like this. And or I have not been building it onto an island because there are a lot of animals on island that will produce over time, which will create more and more lag. I have created an open building because I wanted to create less and less, which will take me less and less work. I mean, a couple of walls are nice, a couple of windows are nice, but it all takes you more and more time to build it. You're going to need to grind some stuff, and you just want to place things down and get over with. And so that's why for today I'm going to build a minimalistic warehouse which can be upgraded super fast without too much messing around, without the need of rebuilding things over and over again. You can just endless upgrade it. Now of course you might wonder, how did I find a spot like this? Well, my way of going in and outside the map, I just hop on in, I look at the bottom, I'm not happy, I right away exit the map once again. I'm not even going to sail in these maps, just go in, out, take a new map, go in, out, etc, etc. And then at some point you will find one of these things eventually. Now, of course, while we're going to build the ultimate warehouse, I'm also going to give you some tips and tricks based on experience and things that I have seen, what would be handy and what would not be handy. I'm also going to keep in mind there might be some new people watching that would like to know more about the editor. So I also will try to explain a couple of basic things. Which, first of all, if the editor starts up, I do believe you have this layout right down here. If not, then it might be changed by this. This, I guess, is the old one and this is the new one. I could be mistaken, but basically it is sorta kind of the same, but it just has different colors or certain things are not put together. Now, blocks, chests, plants, trees, rocks, bushes, and all that good stuff can be found right down here. There is one thing very important which I already selected because this is take 2. Is you need to select this guy right down here because there are a couple of items which cannot be used in the adventure mode. It can be used in minigame mode, but this is something for a different time. So also make sure to select this guy so you don't take stuff by accident, because you're going to have a difficult time change stuff again. Now I'm just going to go to the blocks. I'm simply just going to make use of wood, and I'm going to simply make use of this wooden block here. I kind of like this block. So as you can see, for the ones that are new, you see that it's going very choppy. That's because it's on grid mode. The way how you can see it, it's on grid mode is down here. These things are grayed out. That means grid mode. And if you press spacebar, you can change different modes from movement to rotation to nothing. So you can see how it looks. Now, do you know if it's not on grid mode? Well, if you press on V, which is also a thing in adventure mode, then you can just smoothly move things. In this case, I still have this turned on. By default, this is not turned on. Now you can smoothly move stuff. So, but we're going to keep it on grid. Now, what will happen if you turn grid on while it was not on grid and you start moving it? Well, it automatically places things on grid, which is just super duper handy. Right, I'm just going to lay out a little bit of something. I'm just going to press Ctrl D to duplicate and select, press Ctrl D. And this guy's again Ctrl D. Sometimes I just find it more easy to just press it again. I need to stop messing around. I need 3 of these, like that. And then I'm going to place this like that and that like this. Select it all, place it again. Select it all, place it again. I'm going to start off with this. We're going to make a couple of basic blueprints. Some of them will be used to easy expand. Others will be just used because we need to have a basic setup. Now, I would like to colorize stuff. You know, if you colorize things beforehand in the editor, it doesn't cost you any pigment once you place your blueprint, which is super duper nice. I think I have brown still selected because, you know, take 2. In this case, I'm also going to take the black one, just like that. Now, the first thing that we're going to take a look at is what kind of chests are we going to use. Now, certain chests are very handy onto your ship, just because you can just dump stuff in them. They are smaller, they contain more slots. But in my opinion, for your warehouse, it is not very handy to have a chest that looks very small. Because a chest that is at least big, you can display the item that is inside the chest onto the chest, which will save you a lot of time by going through all of these chests to try to take a look at the item. Not only that, certain chests are absolutely, you know, the slots are ginormous, which is very nice, right? But they're very expensive to make. And if you make a warehouse where all of your items are going to be stored, you're soon going to notice that you don't always need a chest with an insane amount of slots. Now, also these days, these chests have, I mean, resources. I'm not going to do take 3. Resources that can be put into packages. So if you have 1000 pieces of wood logs, you can make them into a package which only takes up 1 slot, while 1000 pieces of wood takes up 5 slots. So things are getting more smaller if it's about slots. Mind what I'm saying here, but you need lesser and lesser slots in order to store all of your stuff, right? And these chests I like a lot because they have like a very big spot in order to put some stuff onto them to display. For now, I'm just gonna put 4 here and I'm gonna put 4 there. I'm going to work in categories, which I find very handy. So on the left side, I'm going to do all the basic resources, you know, like stone, wood, gunpowder, silver, iron, you know, whatnot. The things that are easy to get. On the right side, I'm going to do high-end resources, which are things that take more time to get, are harder to get, you get lesser of. And in this way, I'm sharing things up a little bit. And I'm going to do that for all of the stuff. I'm going to have clothing, going to have tools, going to have food and whatnot. But in this case, I'm not only going to make use of chest. Because in some other cases, and this is something that I didn't think of at the beginning building this donation warehouse and or the other warehouse, is that we have these small little containers which are super duper handy, and they contain sometimes way more slots than these containers. Now of course you cannot really display stuff on them, but you know, a seed box, what will be in there? Well, seeds. Now of course what you can do with certain one of these, because you got food seeds, you got plant seed, you got 3 seeds, is just have a little sign or just give them a certain color which you can recognize, and the color that would be something in there just for yourself. You know, plant seeds could be light green, tree seeds could be dark green, seeds that can grow foods could be orange, and whatever not, you just name it, right? And of course you can actually, you know, display a seed on here. Of course it is up to you how far will you go, but you know, one of these guys contains 45 slots, which is a lot. And so on with a couple of other things, you don't need really, you know, storage boxes. So in this case, this is a good start. Now I'm going to colorize these boxes once I have placed stuff, because I just like to do that. And I'm thinking of it, I would actually like to have a little bit of a docking area. I don't want to crash my boat right into stuff, and I'm just going to do it like this. I will add a pole later on, because you just need one to reach the bottom of the ocean, and then you can place the blueprint. Any other poles, I want to keep it minimalistic. Like, why do that, right? Why would I spend so much time onto this warehouse? But of course it is in the end up to you. So this is a part number 1. I'm going to hold control, and then I can just decide, okay, I want to have this. Just click twice for that. And then we are going to first raise it up like that. And then I'm just going to take a log. And I'm not sure how deep the water will be at that spot. And I'm just going to place this log right underneath, and I'm going to place another one just like that. Then I at least know this should be long enough. If not, then I have a problem. Things, oh god, can be easily solved. Yeah, but this is something for later on. So in this case, I select everything, and I'm going to select this block and then save as a blueprint, and click on next, and then just zoom in for a little bit, save it. And we're going to save this as a blueprint that only we are going to use. We are not going to upload this to the workshop. Things that are getting uploaded to the workshop will be protected, which basically means that if you would place it onto a multiplayer map, then other people cannot blueprint your blueprint and steal it. If it's an unprotected blueprint, they can just steal it. Now I'm going to call this 2023. I'm going to call this Basic Stow 1. Because it's going to have a couple one of these, and then I'm just going to save and close it. So this is part 1, and I'm also going to save this into a group. So if I would, for whatever reason, build some more of these blocks, and I need to select all of them, you know, let's place a couple of them. I can hold Control, double click, it will select all of these except these ones, because these are in a group, which is very, very handy. Alright, the next thing that I'm going to do is build an expansion piece. So in this case, it's going to go into this group. I'm going to select all of these, duplicate it, place it here, and throw it out. And exit, select all of these. Make sure to select this block. Then I'm going to save it as. I'm going to call this Basic X1. And save and close. Now of course this is super duper easy to place down these 2 blocks, but placing chest down will never be on grid, and it can make things look ugly later on. Now create a group once again. And now what I'm going to do is getting back into this group. And I'm going to select this guy, hold Ctrl, select this guy, Ctrl D, place this right down here. I'm going to throw it out of the group. And then I'm just going to select this guy and place it right down there. And I'm also going to check if it's not too close. Which in this case, I can actually check this guy out. I think it will be fine. I'm just going to keep it on grid. And what I'm also going to do, I'm going to add a couple of them. So I'm going to do Shift D. I'm going to just fill in this whole thing. And you know, what are 4 chests, right? And then I can have a better idea how up close it is. So I'm going to change my mind. I'm going to make sure at least that the chests are not touching each other. So in this case, I'm going to press V for free place mode. I'm just going to take care there's a little bit of spacing between them, you know, so it's easier to stand on here and select this chest. And then I think 3 is gonna be enough, like that. It's okay. And we still have a little bit of spacing left. Just, you know, I just want to make sure I can right away select the chest without, you know, touching the other one. And I think, yeah, just touching the edge. Fine, I'm just looking at the yellow lines right down here. You know, I'd rather spend a little bit of time making this look nice than just build a ginormous building. Okay, so now we have this. This can be an expansion of number 1. So I'm just gonna select this block, save as. I'm gonna call this basic expansion 1B, and then just save it up like that. Now I am going to check out my blueprints, because if you make multiply blueprints it can be a little confusing. So stow 1. The next thing we're going to make is a stow 2. I'm gonna write it down on WordPad, it might be very handy. Can I can, hopefully. I'm gonna call this 1A. So 1A, 1B. So very handy. And I like that the option there, I not really noticed it before, that we can just change things as we are in here. So A and B belongs with each other. So now I can just kinda endless expand this. Now you might wonder, JB, if you're going to put all of these behind each other, how are you going to make a new row with some new chests? Well, I've been thinking about that. I'm just going to reselect this guy and I'm just going to press Shift D to duplicate. And I'm just gonna place it, I'm not sure where, because I'm going to need to make a stairways. And as you can see, if you make a stairways type of warehouse, you can just expand on the back forever and ever. Yeah, so in this case, I'm gonna edit this group. I'm just going to kick out all of the stuff that I can't be using. And then we're gonna make like a nice stairways. And this will be the expansion. What is it called? Stow 2. Now, of course, it might be very possible that there are some people that have a different opinion on what I'm doing, and that is fine. I mean, everyone has his and her own way of doing things, and for some reason, my stuff, I ruined it. Let me just break the group and then just manually place things. There we go, left and right. This is how you get it all back on grid. Yeah, like I wanted to say, people have their own opinions on how to do stuff, and I just give my experience right now. Grab all of that, and then, place it right out here, and now I got like a stairways type of deal with expansion on the back. But in this case, I need to break the group, and I'm going to select this guy right down here, and we're gonna save it as a blueprint. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit in case I'm getting older and blinder. 2023 base, what's that the name? Basic Stow 2, right? Yeah, Basic Stow 2. Save and close. Now in this case, we're going to add tools right down here and weapons right down there. I'm going to create another one, and this will basically be an empty one, so I'm going to save it as a blueprint. Oh no, you cannot save groups, so that's why you need to break the group before saving it. Basic Stow 3. And then I basically have everything. Now, of course, to avoid certain things, like messing around with certain things, doesn't make sense what I'm saying, but I'm just going to show you. I'm going to need to see, like, what do I have right down here. So there are 13 of these containers. I got 2 sides, so you're just going to need to see, you know, what you're going to do. Now, of course, you have mineral basket, but you also have an option to save minerals into a package. So there are certain things that I will not be adding, but I'm gonna guess things like herbs, seeds, potions, shells, pigments, soil, gold, medical stuff. Tools will be stored in... That's a good one. Let me see how many slots does this guy has. 24 slots. So tools, I'm going to store tools into these chests because they have a little bit more slots. And or the thing is with tools, you need to have a bit of a display, right? And of course ammo. Now this gold thing, it might be handy to place just a very simple, you know, a block sideways, and then you can place on it like, okay, there are coins in here, there are bars in here, and then golden bars can also be stored as a package. So you just have to see, like, what am I going to store in here. I'm not sure if you can store diamonds in here. It would be very handy, so you can just put a thing like this, place a diamond on it, or you can just have, you know, a couple of these guys near each other. Then coins, diamonds, bars, whatever, right? And for other things, for example, like these soil containers, you can make one brown, which is dirt, make one light blue, which is ice, make one white, would be snow, make one gray, would be gravel, things like that. And I'll guess doing the same thing with potion, just place one of these guys, place the potion on top of it. This guy does have 24 slots. I'm not gonna build a whole chest for these guys. With potions, I don't get too much of. Ammo, I'm going to need to do the same. So certain things we're going to build on location. But once again, long story short, even though I'm trying to make it super simple for myself by skipping a lot of parts, it is still a little bit of messing around, especially with the tiny little containers. You know, what are we going to do with this? What are we going to do with that? You just want to take care that you do things right away. You cannot build everything right away, but if you have a good start, a good plan of upgrading, you can get far with that. Okay, so in this case, I'm going to need to place down some stuff, and then let's see how this is going to work out. Am I right about what I thought about things? Am I going to need to do a take 2, 3, 4, whatever it was, because I made a silly little mistake? Going to find that out. Okay, so building on water is a little bit of a funky thing, and that's why there is a piece of ground down here. And I'm going to rotate this with F, and I'm not sure if I even touched the ground there though. So I'm going to look at my ship. I'm going to need to build it like that. If you hold your... Let me see here. Yeah, okay, I don't want to go low. If you hold your right mouse button, you can see the controls are changing on the right side. Now there is one thing I find a little bit a shame. It's a little bit silly. If you hold your WASD, your character is moving. You really want to give it some taps, so your character is still moving but way lesser. Just tap it. And in this case, tap it until it says, yo, you cannot do that anymore. Alright, so I'm going to place it down there. I think that should be enough for me to make like a nice corner and attach to this guy here. Of course, I can just come into the map. Then when I think I'm about to hit the dock, I can just lift myself up with the propeller pack and then unsummon the ship, land on the dock, face that way, summon my ship, so my ship will be ready to go. So when you do this the first time, you are having a huge problem. You cannot place this anywhere. You cannot place this on the bottom. You cannot place this on the ship. So that's why, and I don't think, yeah, you can also not place it on an existing piece. So you want to have a piece of ground like that. This is something that I didn't think of when I needed it. But what you can do is just place a pole out of the water and then grab some dirt, add the dirt to the pole, and then you can just build that stuff. So in this case, all I need for a basic is this. And if you make like a ginormous building, you're going to spend some time. Alright, so in this case, it's building up, and I'm done. This is, I'm done. I'm already ready, you know? I'm also going to just demolish that piece over there. After, I'm thinking of it after. I'm going to make it myself a little bit more easier. I'm going to build myself. There's a reason for everything, you know. I'm a little bit silly sometimes. Oh yeah, and then we also have sand. Do not forget the yellow one. I don't have a dark blue one or a white one, but you basically, I believe, got snow and you got ice. So multiplied chest with colors is very handy. I'm going to remake another part with dirt down here. Gonna do it like that, like this, like that. And yes, honest, it looks ugly what I'm building right now, but this is just a warehouse. It doesn't need to look pretty. You can make it pretty, but it's going to cost you resources. It's going to cost you time. It's going to, you know, stuff like that. So now I have a spot where I can just place down the thing. So I'm now going to place one of these guys. I'm going to place it on top of there and then move it until it says, you cannot do that in the sky. And like that. Place it like that. And, you know, add like that. Boom, done. Now, of course, I'm not going to build the whole show on camera. Just bit by bit. We're going to do just a couple of things and just, you know, show you why I do something and why I do not something. And of course, in the future, I'm thinking like, yeah, I could also make like a farm warehouse. Which, if I need a lot of something, I always mistake with that. If I need a lot of something, like I need a lot of flour, I could just make like a simple farm. You can build stuff on islands, but you know, there are animals. If you don't kill them all, they will just multiply and give you a ginormous amount of lag. You have the landscaping that you're going to need to terraform. You're going to need to sail that way. It takes you more time, you know, that kind of stuff. You need to make it yourself a little bit easier. So in this case, the first thing that I would like to place out there, you know, I'm just gonna go in here. I'm gonna take all of these logs, and take 2 for this scene because I forgot to turn on the recording. Anyways, I've looked the footage back and it was saying 372 into my inventory. So we're just gonna do the first one right now. We're going to add in all the logs in here, which I already did. And then I took the amount that was in here out of it already, or I've also stored these guys in here. I'm not going to really make a separate chest for them. I'm just going to make some mystery boxes in the future, just dump in all of the stuff that I can't really be using, and then people can get good stuff, bad stuff, or medium stuff, whatever. This makes it a little bit easier for myself to get rid of things. But if it would be my own warehouse, my own stuff to say, I would just, you know, demolish these things into pieces of wood, which can be used for fire and whatnot. Alright, and another thing that I wanted to say is I should have placed this guy right down there. And the reason being is the further you go away from that area, the more the game will start complaining that you cannot place your workbench too far away. Okay, anyways, tools here, weapons there. Then I'm going to think about decoration, and you know, in the end I've decided I'm still going to put food on top because I just think that it looks nicer to have things look nice. That makes any sense? Okay, I'm going to place this guy correctly, like that. Did I still place the wrong one? Oh, so once again, like that. Check. Perfect, beautiful. Which in this case, it is a nice little moment to just sit down, take a little look at what we have down here and start rethinking. Because only by doing that, you can, you know, maybe add some changes to whatever. Now, I'm looking at it, and there might be certain items that are, or have multiply of them, right? Which basically means you see that piece of health on the side of the chest. There are a lot of different types of health. Now, should I be making one chest for each health? It's gonna be maybe a little bit too much. So let's just take a little look. There are different types of deals here, right? I mean, we have these guys and we have these guys. Now I could just make one chest and, you know, just dump in all of these guys in here and just not worry about it too much. The same with this stuff. Don't worry about it for too much. It in the end, it kinda is for the same deal, which is leather, right? We also have these mushrooms. Oh boy. And this is where the headache starts to happen. What am I going to do? Because in the end, if I make a whole row of different type of mushrooms, I'm going to need to dive into those chests and figure all that stuff out, right? Now, of course, you might say, but yo, how do you know how much mushrooms there are and how many of these things are and how many of those? This is something that I actually do not want to worry about. It sounds crazy, but if I got something new, I'll add something new. Now in this case, we're going to speed up the progress a little bit, and after thinking for a little while, I think it's the best if we first start filling in this first row, then go to the second row, third row, and then decide, do I need more rows? Because I think for items like decorations, clothing, and a couple of other things, we're going to need to have more rows than just one, or else I will be ending up all the way down there in the map. First things first, I'm gonna grab one lock out of the chest because I'm not going to use my own stuff to display. And in this case, I'm going to just place this guy right down in the middle, and or I want to colorize the chest the color of the item, just because it's easy to recognize. Now I know locks almost have the same color. In this case, I'm going to find the right angle, because as you can see, even though I'm aiming my paint gun onto the lock, it does show the cabinet. So we're going to need to find the right angle, and this is the right angle. In this case, I'm going to press F because I want to eye drop the same color, and then I want to paint the chest in the same color as the lock, and now we did it. And or if it's a loose item, we want to press the other mouse button on the item and then chain it so we cannot pick it up by accident. Trying to demolish that lock and place it back into the chest. One lock, there we go. I'm going to check out all of these chests first, and as you can see, all of these chests are empty, and I'm going to need to unnecessarily check out if there are more locks in these chests. With the new design, I do not have the problem, because if I don't need to add any extra chests, that means I don't have any extra items, if that makes any sense. Now in this case, I have added this row right down here, and I ran out of space, which in this case we're going to use one of these expansions, which is super duper easy to add. We're just going to add it like this, place this like that, fill in the blank, and there we have it, another chest. Now of course I could do multiplied chests, so it will save me a little bit of time, which I'm going to do in this case. Alright, as you can see, I have done all of the basic resources. I got a couple of extra chests right down here, but I'm not sure if I'm going to need that. I will just leave that there. And by splitting out basic resources and high-end resources, I don't have to make it for too long. And this is also the reason why I want to wait with setting up the decoration, because one decoration row is going to go endless, so I'd rather just build up, have different sections. Also, another thing that I discovered, which is silly, I knew this is a thing, that if you go too low with your dirt, too close to the water, you cannot remove it anymore. So that is a bit of a bummer. I also discovered a different thing, and that is that you don't need a whole platform in order to, you know, place down the workbench. You can actually do, one chop would have been enough. Just redo that again. So as I wanted to say, if you just do this once, very careful like that, this should be enough for, you know, the stuff to place down. So you can just, you know, do that. So you don't have to make a ginormous piece of land. And of course it's quicker to just remove. Right, now it could be very possible that certain stuff will just, you know, spawn underwater. I'm not sure what is the percentage of having stuff spawn back or whatnot. I started with 7, I believe. I now have 10. Okay, so in this case, I'm going to do some high-end resources. And or now I'm thinking of it, I also got some, let's say, a little bit miscellaneous type of items, or items that I'm not just gonna give away every week, but on just special events, to say, like Christmas, the upcoming. I got things like this or things like that, and all of a sudden something popped up in my mind for these special items, which I'm just going to demolish the stairs partly. Because let's be honest to ourselves, are we really going to make a whole row of chests built out like insane? Not really, right? So with other words, what I'm trying to say here is I'm going to grab another one of these basic stuff, which all of them are called like that, but I just mean this guy for now. Let me just place it here. And I'm going to place this guy behind here. Now you could have been saying like, why are you building stairways and just not like this in general? I don't know, I just like the way how this will show me immediately like what is where, rather than having things behind each other, making it a little bit more difficult to see what I have. And yeah, that is basically my excuse. And mind you, the reason why I'm going to do this different once again is I don't want this bay to be insanely long, so I'm just going to use the stairways. And let me just place this. Let me just place this one right down there. These are 3 times 4. Then I'm just going to get rid of the stairways. Now, in fact, what I'm doing here could also be an option for having too much decoration type of deal, right? Which is another case of thinking while you're doing, coming with solutions or make things a little bit more easier. Which in this case I have made a couple extra ones. I got one of these with an opening, and I got one of these where I have left like an opening of 3, so I could just easily build this without having to add things, remove things and that kind of stuff. So I think it's going to be handy in this case if I'm going to do decorations, to build it out to a certain way and then just make an opening, place down some extra stuff and then just build behind each other, so I can still keep one layer per certain category, if you would. I think it's gonna be super duper handy though. And so meanwhile I was being busy with transferring some stuff, I all of a sudden realized this will be the first one which I'm going to need to expand towards the back, and this is gonna be super duper handy. Just gonna grab this guy right down here. Like in this case I could just stand out here and just place it like that. This guy on here, I hope. There we go. And then in this case, if I ever need some more, I can just stand on here and grab it from these chests. Now the only thing that I am thinking about right now is I cannot build it out too far. It just, well, maybe 1 block. I really don't think that I'm going to need to, add a 3rd one of these guys. But this is something to keep in mind for the future. And for you guys maybe, that if you're going to build something stairways like, then make sure in the editor that you measure out the height of your character with the next, layer. But I got all trust in it that this would be enough. And I can add one more, I can still access them all. And, there's always a possibility that I can access things from the side, because I highly doubt it, or I need to be very unlucky to have 3 items near each other that can only be stacked, and then, I have a problem with getting further in the back. But I'm not going to be worried about this for too much, and or I can always tell people, certain stuff I really don't need more of. What I'm also going to do, I'm going to only colorize the one where I actually got some items into, so if I check this one, it is empty, then I don't have to check this one, because, it saved me a little bit of time, to say. Alright, as you can see on the ground layer, I pretty much did everything I could. Of course, I'm not done, and if I want to be done with this, it's going to take me another couple of days of work, only because of I got a lot of chests here in the back. They're all going to need to be emptied out, and mostly important, it's going to need to be counted. And there's some of these chests also contain little containers which contain some more items and stuff. So in this case, this is what I have for right now, and I will just continue doing this, and I can just explain little bit by little bit what I will end up doing more. And of course, you can let me know what you think of the setup. Do you find this handy? Is this something that you would have changed? But long story short, on this side, I got the low-end resources. I did add gold to it because I got a lot of gold. It's not too difficult to get. All of the other basic resources will be stored behind here. Like I've been saying before, I'd rather have a couple of rows behind each other than have one long end row all the way into the distance of the map, which is going to take a lot of walking. Also, the magic dust has now been added to the basic resource because I got a lot of them, and looking at it afterwards, crystal dust is kinda easy to get. Now, of course, I have also added a couple of extra high-end resources. Basically, what I've been adding is the stuff you can make with bronze bars, like this, that, and this. Rubber slab has now been added to it. And on this way, I could just, keep adding bits and pieces at the front or even at the back just to share it up nicely. And yeah, this is way better. I like it so much more to have it like this. It is so much more easier to expand the storage for a certain product. Now, of course, I still also like the idea of what I've been saying about this pelt. Just make a couple of chests just based on certain colors: white, black, gray, and colored colors, if that makes any sense. Which I'm also going to do with these guys, and or for the mushrooms. I just have to think, but I kinda aiming for the same kind of idea, right? So brown with brown, green, purple, that good stuff. I guess this will do for now. If you guys are wondering, how I progress or how will this look in the end, then make sure to join my stream each Saturday 8 PM CET, because at some point after the spinning wheel I'm going to pick up some resources for the people who want resources, and then you can have another fresh look on how things look like. Of course, I will also post some screenshots in the Island Discord as well as my own Discord maybe. And by the way, if you guys would like to have a little tip, so let's just pretend this block down here is not supposed to be here. Normally you can either take this hammer or take a different block to remove things. Did you know you can also use blueprints and then just click all these blocks away, which is kind of funny though.